It's about 17 minutes past 8 o'clock. You're listening to In Town and Out here on CBC Radio 1, 91.5 FM here in Ottawa. My name is Michael Bardwash, and I want you to take a listen to this.
So the Bad Moms Club says, I'm sitting here, so I don't even know what I am. Disturbed, angry, bewildered. I'm not. What bugs me the most is the fact that a childless photographer thinks that having children act out these scenes is fun, or the fact that the parents of these kids involved are laughing about it. Laughing. It makes me wonder why people are allowed to procreate. And then a response says, I think you're overreacting. Art is art. There is nothing graphic in any of these pictures, and to the kids, they probably had loads of fun playing dress up and playing for the day. And another person says, I don't know, one hand using kids to advance your political statement. That sounds bad, but I saved the Twin Towers on my HD because it touched me. It's a haunting photograph.
Thanks, Jonathan. So that is artist and photographer Jonathan Hobin reading an excerpt of one of the many notes he received regarding his new collection of work called In the Playroom. Now, this collection of large photographs shows children posed in different and, you could argue, somewhat dark scenarios. So there's this little blonde girl dressed up as a JonBenet Ramsey lookalike in a piece called American Idol. Another, called Dear Leader, shows an East Asian child in glasses and white trousers standing in front of a cardboard cutout of a nuclear mushroom cloud. Now, in the week that In the Playroom has been up at the Dale Smith Gallery here in Ottawa, Jonathan has received many comments and criticisms. Jonathan, good morning.
Good morning.
So, how common is that sentiment in the notes that you've received so far, that first one from the Bad Moms Club?
It's not as common as you would think. Everyone's very concerned that I'm going to get that it's a highly controversial photo series. And there definitely have been some criticisms about the work, but as a whole, I've been getting nothing but congratulations and strangers coming up to me and telling me how amazing they think the work is and how touched they were by it. But there definitely is a certain sect of people who, I don't know whether they're unwilling to understand or to talk to me about it, but definitely are willing to draw conclusions about what they think about the work and to share them online.
Does that surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me that people are willing to put these sort of extreme opinions online. People have a tendency to do that sort of a thing. And what does surprise me is how people have contacted me out of the blue just to congratulate me. I think that's wonderful. People are getting it.
People are getting it for those who want to get it. But then, like you're saying, you are seeing a couple people post criticisms, right, who don't necessarily understand it. So what exactly are they not getting?
It's amazing. I don't know whether it's people who are believing that they're so good-natured that they have to protect children at all costs, which is kind of what this piece is about, this idea that we have it wrong, this assumption that we can protect our children from the things that are out there in the world. And this piece is about how it's impossible, and it's about acknowledging the fact that these reflections of our society appear in our children's play and into their behavior. And by acknowledging that, it's a segue into having a dialogue with your children. And it's about just acknowledging what exists and dealing with it, where I think it's very common in our society for people to want to ultimately ignore the problem and think that they can protect their children by not discussing the issues that exist.
But do those people have a right to then post and say that you as the artist aren't getting it, that somehow you're taking advantage of children through this series?
Well, one thing I actually was surprised at is that the personal attack towards some of the children or parents involved and making a lot of presumptions about where the parents are coming from. And I feel like when you make presumptions about situations and you fill in those sort of blanks, those information that you don't understand, it really is a reflection of where you're coming from. And I think it's really sad that a lot of people would feel that there are parents out, in fact, there are parents out there that would abuse their children. Of course, some of the images are talking about that, but that these parents who have made this choice to allow their kids to participate in this unique series, making these presumptions that for some reason that they went into it short-sighted, or that they weren't given all the information, or that they're somehow stage parents that are just pushing their kids out onto the stage to get some sort of fame, whereas these are parents who have made educated and proactive decisions about their children. And I think that they love that they were a part of such an important series.
In the week that this has been up at the Dale Smith Gallery, do you feel like you have to defend yourself?
Not while I've been at the gallery, that's for sure. People tend to as I say, come up to me, congratulate me. I had one Holocaust survivor come up to me and said that this is exactly, she got it because when she was growing up during wartime, all they did was play war games. And that's what this series is really about. It's reflecting society in the behavior of children. And in the world that we live in, with the media as pervasive as it is, anything is at a child's fingertips. And it becomes a global culture, and everything that we see is reflected in child's behavior. So to assume that a kid is going to look at a violent terrorist act that's been repeated constantly on TV and not wonder and think about that and express that in their play is naive. Kids have always played war games. They've always played cowboys and Indians, or at least I should say they played cowboys and Indians when it was popular on TV. Mm-hmm. Kids, I use this example quite often. Kids just know how to pick up a handgun. They're not taught. These are all examples of how our culture, is reflected in children's play.
So considering that there's a back and forth about in the playroom, those who are against some of the images and those who are complimentary of them as well, does this make it that much more, art? Is this art?
I don't know if that's what makes it art, but I get the sense that I knew that I was never going to be the type of artist that would create an image to match a sofa. So I create work that makes me think, and I can come back to it and even, reflect back on what I made and kind of think about, is it still relevant? And I think that with that sort of art comes controversy. There's people who either just don't like it aesthetically, or people who really don't like the message or the ideas that you're bringing to light. So
you as the artist, are you prepared for that though?
I think that when people told me, when I had a few select people who did get to look at the work before I exhibit it, I had a few people say there's going to be some controversy that comes along with it. And I kind of said, yeah. And I can handle someone saying they hate the work or they hate me. But it's interesting how passionate certain people can be, and the kind of low blows that they can kind of put out there. So I guess I was fully prepared to be criticized. I guess I just wasn't prepared to be criticized on a personal level. And that's something when you create art, I don't think people think about, because I didn't do this ultimately thinking about how people would react. I created this work for me and the people who are like-minded. And fortunately, it's actually having a much greater and widespread effect than I originally intended. And I'm thankful for that.
Are you proud of this?
Yeah, very much. I think that this is one of the greatest things I've ever accomplished.
Jonathan, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Jonathan Hobin is an artist and photographer. His new collection, called In the Playroom, is up at the Dale Smith Gallery, which is on Beechwood Avenue in New Edinburgh. And as part of this weekend's Festival X, which is the annual photography festival here in Ottawa. Now, Jonathan is going to be at the gallery for an artist talk. That's at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Everyone's welcome to check out the pictures, head down to the gallery, ask a few questions, and hear his thoughts on the series. Now, we've posted a link to his photographs and the gallery details on our website, which is cbc.ca/intowనంdout. And if you have a moment, check out the pictures and let us know what you think. I want to hear your thoughts on this. You can email us at intowనంdout@cbc.ca.